every year we achieve this new thing. So like our first $3 million month, like that's as much revenue as I did in 2019. And we're going to do that in July. Do our processes make sense, and will they work at double our volume? Hey, are you good? Are you good at 50% more volume?
I only have to jump another 15 million in 2 years. Let's do it.
You'll probably do it. So a big goal for this year as we prep for busy season is
just answer the phone is one of those phrases that's always easier said than done. I know it was hard for me in my business because the phone always rings while you're out in the field trying to get something done, or it's 8 p.m. and you're trying to get your kids to bed. Well, I have the solution for you. I'm extremely excited today to announce Quick Staffers, your go-to solution for building a high-performing, cost-effective customer service team. We are placing CSRs who have been pre-trained on proven home service SOPs and scripts, the same ones that Wilson and I use in our business. For a limited time, we're offering $500 off your initial placement costs for the first 10 signups. See link in the description below or head over to quickstaffers.com for more information.
welcome back.
Welcome back to Owned and Operated. I'm taking over, John. You can own the welcome back.
I've had a good run.
Yeah,
I've had a good run.
When we're dealing with Roger and all the other legends, but it's my time now.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Dude, like Wednesday, March 26th.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means, Jack?
I have no idea.
We're at the tail end of my least favorite part of the year.
Oh, yeah. Q1's almost over. Yeah.
Dude, we are 5 days out. We're almost there. So, yeah, no, we're feeling really good. Quarter one's wrapping. I mean, April technically is our hardest month.
Really?
But by kind of a long shot. But we're going into April stronger than we've ever gone into April. So we feel great.
Why is it? I feel like April wouldn't be your hardest month because you can actually lean on maintenances. No? That's surprising for me to hear.
Yeah, I mean, we might be better at it this year. Last year was our first year like getting decent at it. And we have a way better like sales mechanism this year. Mm-hmm. So actually, I really don't know how April's going to go because we broke most of our rules this quarter one with how we've managed so far.
What do you mean by that? Like
gross margin was actually good. Like we're finishing up Q1 at 50% gross margin, which like typically I'm in the high 30s. Like last year I was in the high 30s. Yeah. And it's because we had some HVAC guys that didn't know how to sell the margin. So that basically dragged the whole company down.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also, right, your team has graduated from, and it's mostly your focus, right? By focusing on gross margin, you inherently don't sell by discount just naturally. And you're working on pricing to get gross margin down.
Well,
and
we
you're
sell
working
by
on
discount.
labor.
We do sell a lot by discount. It's just we built the system to still hit margin with discount.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. So when I say sell by discount, I mean like over discount. If you're planning in a 10% discount, right, that's not really a discount.
Yeah. Or like we talked about a couple episodes ago, how do you give a huge discount but be able to plan the rest of your organization around giving that discount? Like how can you give it and protect margin by buying better or having labor that makes it, works within that?
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, maybe it's geographical, but April actually, the month always is like a little spike for us because we start our maintenances. Nice. We get our first 80-degree days of spring. And like that's when we catch all the leaking coils and compressors out and all like the big jobs.
That's May for us typically. But we might be able to see it happen in April. I mean, the big wins this year, I'll give some Q1 wins because we're sitting here just like, oh my God, we made it. This is the first year ever that we have never even had to bring up the topic of a layoff of any type. Mm-hmm. Like didn't even come up. Yeah. I mean, we dialed in our lead gen. We dialed in our install. We dialed in our sale. Like we have next leveled on all of those three things, which is, we've talked about that a ton on the show, but huge win. And it's honestly been a huge cultural win because around the office, like everyone in electric was like, dude, last year we were doing nothing. Like last year, like they had to lay 4 guys off. This year, like we're ramping up hiring in March because to keep up with what we're selling. So just huge win. And plumbing's the same thing. Plumbing's just like, oh my God, usually we're dead in the water. Like we have 12 installers. We need to jump to 14. Like, we do not have enough. Really big win there. We also didn't have to talk about reducing overhead salaries. I think the reason is, and we should dive into this again, because someone in the owned and operated pro community just asked me about this. But like, hey, walk me through like hiring remote again. Like, the reason we didn't have to reduce overhead salaries is because we aggressively moved more positions remote.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That was a huge win for us. We were able to, it like made the business more defensible.
You know what's interesting, and I don't want this episode to be honestly talking about remote hire and all that, but what I noticed, which is super weird and makes me feel uncomfortable about having so many remote employees overseas, is my expectation and understanding of the actual square footage I need now is so much vastly different than I imagined. So when I saw your shop the first time, you guys were still using local CSRs, dispatchers, local everything, and your bullpen was stacked. Like, there was desks everywhere, and I was expecting, oh, I'm going to need to do that too. Yeah. And then, like, if you watch that video on the Facebook group where I walk through my office, it's mostly empty because I have a few managers and that's it. Like, all the CSRs.
Well, I think you change what you use it for.
Yeah.
Because what you'll end up using it for is conference rooms. We have 3 conference rooms and they are used. Sometimes it's really hard to find a room. Training rooms, a technical training room. I think you just maximize it, like gives you more options.
Yeah. I just mean like from a point of view of like just expectation to reality is I was expecting needing at this point in my journey, an additional, 7 to 8 desks here with people sitting in them full time. And is really like, oh no, they're just at home.
Yeah.
So super weird. But yeah, I mean, those are some big wins. Any others?
I mean, net profit was huge.
Yeah. That's our biggest win is just we actually were able to realistically and accurately capture financials and know if we were winning or losing. And we know we won every month in Q1 as a business and as HVAC. We also know that we lost a few months in plumbing, which that's the first step though to changing it.
First off, how dare you? Like, plumbing
doesn't lose.
It doesn't lose. Plumbing is the golden cow. Like, I don't understand what you did wrong.
That's a good question. And it has a lot to do for us personally with training. And we weren't doing full evaluations. So we were showing up and doing, half-assed, hey, we change out the cartridge for $200, and you can't run a business changing out $200 cartridges. Like, it's just never going to work. You're never going to sell anything. Our excavator didn't move for like 3 weeks, and I about kicked a hole. Drank a Monster Energy and pulled a Kyle and just put a hole in our wall somewhere. Nice. Sorry, Kyles. But yeah, like but the realization came from actually knowing our financials, which is the first time in 3 years that we've been able to do it accurately and consistently. Yeah. So super big.
Dude, that's awesome. That sounds like a huge one.
Yeah. And then it's the first time too, and I know like complete understanding and transparency that we've only been in business 3 years, but it's our first time coming out of Q1 positive from a net perspective.
Yeah.
So really excited about that because normally negative and then summer hits,
you have to dig yourself
positive,
out of the hole.
you dig out by like June, July, you're out, and then August you make some money, and then you try not to lose that money the rest of the year. This year we're like going up,
I know,
which is awesome.
I had the same conversation with my controller like an hour ago, and it's sweet. I think we're exiting Q1 at 10%, which like, huge.
Especially at your size, because I mean, realistically, right? With the smaller you get, the easier it is. I can imagine like the bigger you get.
It takes a lot. Well, it takes a lot, and that's why I think like the biggest wins were like sales process, keeping the board full, just like how do you sell properly?
Yeah.
And then overseas hiring, like those were the wins. Obviously, like I'd say there's dozens of other things I did last year to make sure that this exact thing happened. And if you listen to like April to December episodes all of last year, like prepping. You will listen to me solving this problem so that I can sit here today and say, here's what happened. But like, negotiating, the fuck up expense lists, the every monthly renegotiations, SaaS reductions, sending things overseas, keeping the board full. Like in my mind, 9 months of my year are set, like is me spending time figuring out January through May.
And I mean, honestly, it wasn't an overly rough from a temperature standpoint either. It wasn't like a super terrible winter that blizzards and destroying home. Like it was a moderate winter, to be honest, at least for us.
For us, it was cold.
That's good. You guys got some negatives for a while. Yeah. Cause you were out in the field.
Yeah. Yep.
So now though, as we're moving, right. And I kind of want to attack this from a holistic point of view, a 32,000 foot level. As you're moving into summer or out, just generally out of a season into another season, because I know, I don't think electrical has the same issues that plumbing or HVAC do as you move out of Q1.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
It's the exact same cycle.
It's super interesting you say that, because I was talking to roofers. Roofers said the same thing. Guys who do fencing. Guys who do fencing said the same thing.
Landscaping,
irrigation,
trees.
landscaping. They all say the same thing. Like Q1 is hard, just home services.
Q1's tough. Yeah, Q1's tough for home service.
Yeah. And so as you're moving into Q2, like how are you thinking about trainings and like the changes in business from a systematic point of view? How are you viewing those changes to like ramp and to kick gear into place so that it's no longer about survival, it's about thriving? I'll start, because it's easy. It's probably easier for me to start.
Our answer is actually probably simple too, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, so realistically from our point of view, all we are doing to ramp for summer is we're hiring, we're picking up, 2 headcount each department, which we have needed them at the end of last year. And our budget shows that we're going to definitely need them this year. We just didn't want to bring them on in Q1 when we didn't have the leads. And so now all of our guys are packed. Like they're doing maintenances. We're packed. We're over full. We're losing jobs because we can't get there fast enough. And so we're ready to hire again. We've actually been posted for a while. So that's a big change, is just start the hiring process before you need it. And then the second bit is training. We are flipping everybody's mentality, because they've been training for the winter sales, and now we're getting them ready for the summer sales process and giving them their revamp on why you have to explain certain things and go back into that refresher course. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm missing something or if we should be looking at something else as well, but really for us, it's 2 categories. It's hiring and training, hiring and training.
I would only add one more category on there. I guess maybe 2. I would add 2. So for us, and we've been doing this, we're on our 5th or 6th year of doing this discipline. We use what we call a staff planning worksheet, where it details out roughly the budget by month of, hey, in April, and I guess I'll go into the why. So like if I have 10 sales plumbers right now, come May 1st, I will have enough demand for 13.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can measure this in a few different ways. One, how many leads are we buying? What percentage of leads are you buying? So for us, if we're buying 40% of our leads for a team, that's tough to hire for. Like there's a lot going on there. Like what happens if I have a shortfall of leads? You're more likely to see like feast or famine.
Yeah.
Because if I add a guy on there, suddenly it'll be 50%. And if there's a slow day, it's a whole thing. If I'm buying 10% of my leads,
you can't turn the dial up.
You can't turn it up.
Yeah.
You can't turn it up. So like you are already at like 30, 40%, like you are stretched on the available leads in that market, most likely, for our size at least. The other thing we think about is literally the more simplistic one. How many days out am I booked? Like if I'm booked 4 days out, like booked, 100% booked, dude, you need to hire 2 people. Just like go hire 2 people. So you can use either one of those to measure. But like come May, like our demand for all of our service departments will jump up by 3 or 4 per team. And there's 6 teams. So that's 18 people. And then we will need to then add installers to support what they sell. So right now we're in big time hiring mode, and we started earlier than ever this year, again, because we talked about how strong Q1 was. Like we actually ran up against our staffing limits in Q1, which we did not expect. Like electrical install is understaffed. Whereas, a year ago we were doing layoffs of that team. So like we just didn't really
expect it. Yeah.
We didn't expect it. And it's the same thing with plumbing. So like we have a shortfall of 2 for each of those teams. And then we're going to add another net 2 also to each of those teams. So Right now, the biggest thing is hiring, and we try to forecast a year out for hiring.
Really?
It's obviously not always correct, but that staff planning worksheet gives us something to work on. So, hey, I know that in next April, I'm probably going to need 2 more people in trucks in HVAC service. So I want to start recruiting for them in February when other companies are doing layoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. I remember talking about it in January, February, is you were saying people were actually knocking on your door asking if you were hiring.
Walk-ins.
Yeah, they had walk-ins.
Tremendous amount of walk-ins, yeah.
Just crazy. So is this forecast sheet is this something you created internally? Is this something that you've received from Nexstar or
I made it when I was $3 million. So it is
sweet, very
unsophisticated. Like
the best.
Number of people I need.
Yeah.
It's number of people I need. And then like a red light, green stoplight system for like, hey, you have 60 days to hire this role. Cause our average time to fill, I think, is 35 days. So we give like an extra month, basically. An average time to fill is I need this position to this hire has started. Is 35 days. So it's something to track as you're measuring, because the bigger you get, the more you need to know. Like, okay, if I need people in May for busy season, I need to start recruiting in March.
Yeah.
But honestly, the biggest mistake that I see really is just ramping up hiring, because it's really hard to unclench yourself out of Q1, like feast or famine type of mentality. And our April to March is whiplash.
Yeah.
Like it is a 40 to 50% revenue jump in 30 days. So it is just like you go from like struggling to keep people busy to holy shit, what's happening?
Yeah. The other
so
problem,
it's hard to like unclench it and hire.
Well, and then I think what you get on the back end of that, right, is like, what's the quality of text that you're picking up in February, March versus June? Like, you're not getting any good technicians in June, in my opinion, because they're all busy, they're all working, they're all making money, they're all happy. Yeah. When the technicians aren't happy is when, the giant private equity company can't keep them busy. They're not making money in February. And then that's when you get attrition and you pick up the killer tech, not in the middle of June.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I also think it puts you behind the 8 ball, because what we used to experience is we did not start recruiting early enough because we were so nervous because Q1 was bad. We didn't want to bring on the payroll. We didn't feel like we could support it. But then, oh my God, it's July. I'm booked out for 2 weeks on this team. I can't keep up. And we make bad hires because we're in a rush to get someone in a truck, and then we lose them anyways.
And you can't train them either.
So that's what we've... Can't train him. You can't do anything. Yeah. So most of our bad hiring decisions are because we hired too late into the busy season and we needed someone. The other thing I'll put a plug in, and this is a way that we're being extra conscious about this year, like communicating with leadership, but a big temptation where we have lost a lot of net profit over the years. How about that? That's a better way to put it. Is we get really busy in the summer and we start hiring administrative payroll to backlog the summer busyness as full-time positions, and then they get laid off in the slow season because suddenly it doesn't make sense and they didn't do that good of a job anyways. So because we couldn't train them because we hired them in peak season when everyone was frazzled. So a big goal for this year as we prep for busy season is hey, let's check do our processes make sense, and will they work at double our volume? Does our staffing make sense, and will it work at double our volume? And if it doesn't, how can we support those functions with an overseas hire or a software? Like because what'll typically happen for us historically, but we're going to beat it this year, is our summer net profit will jump up to like 15, 16, 17% because we add more overhead to support the additional revenue. And our big focus this year is how do we add no overhead and how do we drive 25 to 30% months?
No, I think that's a great, I think that's definitely possible. Especially as you outgrow your expenses.
I have peers doing it. Yeah, I have peers doing it. So now we're really focused on, okay, if we're short-staffed here and we're already feeling it in March, we're definitely going to feel it in June. Let's handle that now. And let's absolutely do it overseas or with AI.
No, I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, completely. Why wouldn't you? And so, okay, so I think that all makes sense. So that was the extra category is like, hey, hiring properly in administration, and not only techs roles, but administration as well.
My fourth final category was materials. Like, are you? So I'm gonna give like real revenue dollars here. That way people can understand the difference for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right now in March, I'm running 4 HVAC crews full time. We'll maybe do $500,000 to $600,000 this month in HVAC. In July, we'll probably do $1.3 million in HVAC. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like company-wide revenue this month is a hair under $2 million. We're expecting to hit $3 million in July. Like that's the level of difference. Like it is $1 million of difference of jobs completed, invoices, parts out the door, equipment. And how do you have that stuff on hand so you can be efficient during your busy season? Yeah. How do you have the generators you need so a one-day job doesn't turn into 2? Or how do you have all the HVAC equipment in consignment? And are your VMIs set up or your inventory set up so that you can just continue to ramp out parts? So that's the stuff we spend a lot of time thinking on now. Do we have enough pack outs to go from 4 crews to 8 crews, or are we going to be trying to figure that out in June? Earlier this year, we started an outbounding campaign, and we really didn't know where to begin. So we were using dialing on the phones, we were sending text messages, we were trying emails, tried a couple different softwares, and ultimately we ended up with Hatch. Hatch has been an awesome partner for us. We started with them about 5 or 6 months ago, and we've just continued to ramp. Every month we add 3 or 4 more automations. And my personal favorite thing about working with Hatch is Hatch comes out of the box ready to go. With Hatch, you get automated multi-touch outreach across text, voicemail drop, email, and a ton more. So every single lead that you have gets worked. Every invoice that you leave gets retouched and rehashed. And it's freaking awesome. Check out usehatchapp.com/OAO.
Yeah, parts constraints a real thing too. I mean, especially when you're moving that kind of volume, I can imagine because it's a constraint for us, and we're not moving that kind of volume.
Well, and I think the challenge is it's on a dime.
Yeah,
like you go from like April where we'll do $500,000 in HVAC to May we'll do 1.1.
Yeah,
like it's on a dime. Like you have to be able to double your volume within a few days and be able to withstand the shock of that in order to like fully capitalize on the season.
Well, I think a big part of it too, right, especially for a lot of us who don't have VMI or don't have vendors just in general that work inside our warehouse, is we're reliant on a singular vendor to be able to give us whatever parts and pieces and everything that we need. But their problem is the same as yours, where they're running this distribution warehouse at 15, 20, 30, $100 million. And like they have the same issues. And so making sure that as
you can stem that off though.
100%, right?
Because what you should be doing and what we're already doing is like, we're communicating, hey, we're prepping for our busy season. You can do this sophisticated or not sophisticated. Sophisticated is, here's exactly the number of furnaces that I'm going to move between these dates. And like, we can guess that within 3 to 5. Unsophisticated is, hey, my volume jumps up a lot. Do you have the parts on hand to support me? These are the job types I tend to do. I tend to do a lot of sump pumps in April. Yeah. So like, hey, do you have 500 sump pumps ready to go? Or am I going to be held up by you? Do you have 50 generators sitting around? Or am I going to be held up?
Well, that's I'm more focused on those bigger ticket items, right? Because that's where they actually run out, is making sure we have the conversations early with our sales rep, like, hey, we sold X amount of 17 SEER inverters last year. We sold this many dual fuels last year, specifically for HVAC. But I mean, it transcends industry. Whatever your large ticket item is, making sure that they're going to hold it, because what we've seen between the SEER 1 to SEER 2 changes and the big changes in now in refrigeration, we want to make sure that they're holding the 15 and 17 SEER.
Yeah, can they support you?
Can you support us? Because if you can't, we're going to go somewhere else. And so that's what we do. And then
that's perfect March, April conversation.
Yep.
And days of inventory on hand and roughly the number of boxes you're going to move. And like for you, it's not that hard. It's like, how many water heaters did I put in of June last year? Okay, add 10, How many air conditioners did I put in of June last year? So it's not hard to get that number because you could just go off of number of jobs. Yeah. So maybe you did like 20 jobs or 15 jobs in June.
Well, I mean, we work with the same distributor here, so they have the actual number of X SKU that we moved last year, and so it's just reiterating with them like, hey, make sure we're going to do this again at 35% more. So you need to be able to supply this at 35% more because we're going to do it again. At least that's our plan to budget to get to where we need to go. And so you need to make sure to have this because I don't want to buy it from a different distributor. And they don't want to sell. They don't want us to buy it from a different distributor, so they'll hold it. But I do think it's an important conversation to remind them because, right, they're dealing with 6, 10, 12 contractors. And so the squeaky wheel really does. I mean, in your case, you kind of are the big shot, so they're going to definitely make sure that. I mean, they're going to make sure that you're happy.
That definitely helps.
But for a smaller contractor,
I mean, like I personally, yesterday I met with our primary HVAC supplier. We meet once a month to go over exactly this. I don't even think that's a size thing. I think that's just important. Like, hey, here's our projections for next month. Are you guys good? Today I meet with our secondary HVAC supplier. I meet pretty consistently with our plumbing and electrical. We're getting used to it, but sometimes it's literally once a week. Like we meet once a week with our plumbing supplier to make sure that they're good and to make sure that we're good.
Yeah, I think you're going to my point. Is I'm saying if you are a $1 million plumbing shop, if you tried to meet with your supplier once a week, they'd be like, dude, shut up.
No, ours did.
At 1
we got
million?
in that habit. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
We actually got in that habit because we had a few vendors that sent their salespeople to call on us once a week. And at the time I thought it was annoying. I was like, oh, this is just trying to sell me stuff. And later I was like, oh no, this is actually really kind of important. And them having a pulse on my business every week is genuinely helpful.
So like that's where I was going with it though, was like, if you are not talking with your distributor once a month, frequently, because they think you're too small, pull a John and call them once a week and say, hey, we're going to do this.
Do it.
I mean,
pop on over on your route. Just tell me what day you'll be here. Tell me what time. But that's what we tell our vendors. Like, and it's just because other people set the precedent. Like, hey, I'll be here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. And then every Tuesday at 11 a.m. till the end of time, that person showed up.
Yeah. And they bring food sometimes.
8 years later, still does.
Do they bring food?
I don't know about food. I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes. That's how you tell them.
No, but I need that grub.
I think that's an important thing, though. As you start moving into summer, you're making sure that they're ready. Just any way that you're doing it, emails, calls, making them stop by, that you're prepping yourself and prepping them for the amount of volume you're going to do of whatever product that you want to sell or you're going to sell. It's super important. Super important.
Yeah, 100%. But no, we're pumped. I'm really excited for.
I didn't think of that one though. I need to reach out to them and give them our summer prep stuff.
Yeah, I mean, limiting overhead and like communicating with the team of like, hey, are you good? Are you good at 50% more volume? And like, and even better, like, what's going to break if I added 50% to your workload? And then how do we just solve that now with an overseas hire, so we don't actually add that much overhead? Because like our goal this year, we had a few positions we wanted to add, net new positions, and we decided on them. This is our first year we're doing this, so like I don't know if it'll work, but we're trying to be like extremely disciplined about it because this is just it's our habit. Every summer we expand our OpEx salaries, and we don't want to do that this year. We feel like we've outgrown our overhead, so we should be able to accomplish new records with the same overhead salaries through automation, software, AI, or overseas hires. We'll add some of that in. But
yeah, I mean, that's your people leverage and your technology leverage. Like you have to utilize that so that you're not doing exactly what you're saying. I could see that becoming a massive issue.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars a month of overhead when we've done it wrong. Like it's like $100,000. So we're trying to figure out this year, like, hey, how do we deliberately, we have 2 positions that we want to hire this year, American in office. And one of them we already hired. We hired a dedicated sales trainer, which like, that's going to be awesome. And I'm like super excited about that.
Yeah.
And then we have a sales coordinator. So like our two, and we just hired them. And those are our 2 only positions we're going to be hiring American in office this year. So like, we'll find out.
Yeah. No,
but dude, I want to be able to get on here and say that we clipped a 30% month in July.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah, that would.
Especially
that would
at
be
your
like
size and volume. I was just going to
$900,000.
say, like, that's stupid amounts of money that I can't even comprehend. Like,
it's 900.
When we're like, yeah, we got a 10% month and we close like 20K. And it's like, wow, great job. But 900. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Ugh.
Well, the bigger the business gets, like we'll cross $1 million EBITDA year to date in April.
Yeah.
Like in like the first week of April. And it's like, holy smokes, this is crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That is crazy. That is crazy.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, what I talk to people a lot about too, and this is sidebar, is you've been doing this for a while, but you haven't been doing it that long. Like the business isn't a 15, 18 year in the making business to get to the size you are. Like realistically, for most people out there, like myself, right? When I try to encourage myself to keep going some days, I'm like, oh, I'm 3 years in. John's what, 9 years in, 10 years in?
9, yeah.
9 years in. So like in another 6 years, like that's not that far away. Or in another 3 years, that's not that far away.
I would even like another way to measure it. I had 2 stages of ownership, and the second stage is the more important stage. So like, I bought the business in 2016, but I technically bought about half the business. And I co-ran it with my dad, who was very growth, allergic.
Old school.
And I bought, so it was actually 2019 that I took full ownership of the business. And that was $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 6 years since $3 million. And actually 2019, I think was like might have been 3.1. But like 1,000% or whatever.
Point being is stringing enough of these good decisions together.
Yeah.
In the same time it's taken me to buy this business to here in another 3 years, like the potential to be in the 10 to 15 million range really isn't unrealistic. Exactly.
Yeah. Like in 2020, we did $4 some million, which is where you are at, like mid to high 4 millions. And this year we're going to do 31.
Yeah.
So like it really is a couple years. It's not that it's amazing how fast it goes.
Yeah. Time in the seat and time kind of on the train or on the bus is, it's a long time. Don't get me wrong. Like multiple years of giving up your life and stress. Yeah. And I don't think it ever stops, I'm sure. But like in like the grand scheme of things, not that long, really not that long.
Yeah. Well, and I was reflecting on this morning. I get caught up in this a lot because I think sometimes I ruminate a lot. I've always been like a reflector. Mm-hmm. So like I'll just like, and I have only owned the business since 2016 and all that, but I've been in the business for like my entire adult life. Like I'm on 16 years in the industry, and like you just look back at the journey and you're like, in January, we did like hundreds of thousands in net in just January. And that used to be an entire quarter of revenue. It was actually more than a quarter of revenue from when I bought the business. It was like 4 months of revenue. And I did that in 1 month of net. Yeah. And you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, we passed this month. Sorry to cut you off. We passed this month our first year's gross revenue in the first quarter of my third year. And so
it's crazy.
Same thing.
It's crazy. You just look back and you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. You know? And I'm looking forward to it being like every year we achieve this new thing. So like our first $3 million year or our first $3 million month, like that's as much revenue as I did in 2019. And we're going to do that in July. And it's just like, wow. And I get caught up in it because you just like sit there and you're like, oh my God. But I can't wait till we're 100 and I'll be like, holy shit. Like I remember when I crossed $7 million, it was 2021. And that was like, I can't believe I'm over $7 million. And we'll probably do that in a month.
So the point of this, John, was I was trying to stay positive for everyone listening coming out of Q1 that like you are only a few years away from a better situation.
I'm relatable.
No one's relating to your $100 million story right now. If Roger Wakefield listens or something, maybe he'll relate to you.
Yeah.
But
guys, I am relatable. But it was like only a couple years ago, I was running a $4 million business. Like it's only a few years. So it does happen fast.
That's the point. And it's like, hey, out of a garage to 7,000 square feet, 7,000 square feet to needing a 15 to 20,000 square feet. It's like 3 more years.
You're probably 2 years away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the exciting part is realization that, you know, you're in the trenches every day, but when you actually stop to ruminate and look back, like it really isn't that far. The timeline is much shorter than a lot of people actually realize.
Yeah, I think if you can continue to compound the right decisions. You know, Rich Jordan's another great example. He's super inspirational. He did 900,000 of revenue when he first bought his business like 5 years ago, 2019, I think, or 2020. Like they're going to do 24 this year.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. It's just insane. So yeah, if you can continue to compound the right decisions, you can move.
Yeah, he was a similar situation. He's another one of the people I look at and go, that's crazy. Yeah. And sub-million like what we were. And then I think it was 2020 in 5 years, he's gotten to the 20 million mark.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's my goal. I only have to jump another 15 million in 2 years. Let's do it.
You'll probably do it.
I think we'll get close.
Like breaking 5 million, a lot of, you know, obviously we have a workshop. Hey guys, we have a workshop. But breaking 5 million, a lot of good stuff happens because you get to bring on, you sort of between 5 and 10, you get to, hey, bring on full recruiter, bring on full marketing team or like marketing manager, ops manager. And a lot of like that stuff is the big wins in that zone. To
be honest with you, I think that's changing too. Like, I know you say that because of that's what you did. And like, that's historically true. But as we kind of move into an era where the leverage from AI and the leverage from overseas talent is growing at such an exponential rate, like I truly think that most people in the 3 million range could probably hire a marketing manager for $2,400 a month and then actually be effective and driving lead generation.
I think a very tactical one potentially.
Well, so if you were to pay Scorpion, how much would you pay Scorpion?
I don't know.
For specifically for management, not even for ad spend.
I think
you pay $2,000-3,000.
We had this discussion in a group chat the other day, and the issue that I have with it is like you don't know what you're doing yet as a business, and it's hard to outsource a discipline.
That's true.
Like, I don't know how to hire for that.
Because you have to have someone build the systems and
you got to build
that
it.
They can
so like if you're a small company, I don't know. Like obviously I think agencies get like a lot of like bad rap, Scorpion like being the prime example of that. But up to a certain point, I feel like you have to. And then, you bring on an internal marketing manager and maybe you internalize stuff. Maybe you use an agency. I don't know.
I view it the same way as I view utilizing overseas CSRs in conjunction with Avoca, right? You bring on the marketing manager, but the marketing manager at a $3 million or $4 million company isn't doing like full marketing management. They're not owning everything. They're just owning probably SEO, Google Business, aggregators, maybe Facebook page. But I do think that you could drive meaningful change and have someone building those systems for you if you're not strong in that suit earlier on now than you historically have ever been able to.
I think so. And I think it's just picking what you bring in house. Like we still agency PPC. Like we have no desire to bring that discipline in house.
I wouldn't ever do that.
Or like I think paid meta. I think there's a good argument there to running that. It depends on who are they strong with.
Well, the other thing is like maybe the marketing person that you bring on isn't even doing the traditional digital marketing. Maybe they're more focused on like content creation and strategy versus.
That I can agree with. Right? Yeah, that I can agree with.
And so you put someone in charge of, I mean, what Sam Leslie is a great example. It's like he has done an absolutely amazing job converting a channel that not very many home service industry folks use, and that's YouTube. Like he has cracking the YouTube code with a videographer and overseas talent. Yeah. So I think there's huge opportunity there, and it's earlier than ever before. And whether that's in accounting or, just the same as like, I wouldn't hire an overseas CFO right now at 3 million. Like that wouldn't make sense. But like you could do overseas And we've talked about this, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse.
Like staff accountants and
but
stuff.
like staff accountant or assistants or
I mean, ours
bookkeepers.
is like our controller's in-house, but like the rest of our accounting team is overseas.
Yeah. So if you started early and got a staff accountant a little bit early to make your books right, to start prepping and designing and building the systems, like awesome. But I wouldn't go like, I'm never going to do anything outsourced again too early.
Yeah. Well, that we talked about moving from Q1 to Q2, talked about prepping for summer. I feel like we covered some good stuff here.
Yeah, no, this was awesome. I mean, I got some value out of it. I'm definitely going to go reach out to some vendors. I think we're going to,
hey, up your inventory.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's more so make sure you have what we need.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go freaking hunt for it. It's always the worst thing in the world.
100%.
Yeah, cool. Man, that's awesome.
If you like what you heard, give us a 5-star review wherever it is you listen to shows. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It is like starting to clip. We got some good stuff going on over there, which is a lot of fun. Our YouTube podcast episodes are like actively growing, which is a lot of fun compared to like the Spotify, Apples and stuff. It's growing way faster. So I think you're going to start to see us on the tubes.
Is that what the kids call it? The tubes.
That's what the kids call it. Yeah, that's what the kids call it.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate it.